It's actually, yeah, I don't know. It's a bit painful. Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. I hope you're doing very well this Monday evening. A little bit early because I'm doing a watch along on That's Football for Wolves against Man City. So we're an hour early tonight, but lots and lots to get into. Starting off with Fabrizio Romano's Alex Telles update, which is positive, as well as we'll be talking about the Sancho situation. A couple of journalists talking about that today as well. What else? And also, look, I really want to get into this Solskjaer thing as well. There's so much being said about Solskjaer that I think is unfair. Some of it fair, but realistically, I saw a journalist say today, well, you know what? 9 of those United players would get in that Palace team and Palace beat them. That's got to be on Solskjaer. Like Palace haven't beaten Pep. Like Palace haven't beaten other sides. This is football. Just because you've got better players doesn't mean that you win games. Bloody hell, Pep lost to Norwich last year. The agenda is written, isn't it? And I tell you what, I think there's so many prats out there that are just do it for agenda. But anyway, let's talk about this Fabrizio Romano news coming out from Fabrizio Romano. He says Manchester United and Porto are in talks today for Alex Telles. The player wants to leave Manchester United. Sorry, the player wants to leave. He's not even signed Man United yet. The player wants to leave, and United are negotiating also with the agent as well as the club. Personal terms are not an issue. Price tag €20 million. Key week to decide Telles' future. PSG also looking for a left back. I think Fabrizio's covering quite rightly. We've had Fabrizio on the show a couple of times. Obviously, fantastic transfer expert. I think he's covering the bases there because I basically quote tweeted that and I said you could almost replace the word Telles with Reguilon and go back a week because it's almost the same. United in talks, personal terms not a problem. Other clubs are looking at him. And where did he end up? He ended up at Spurs, Reguilon and Telles. Look, until Romano's saying, here we go, and he's holding up a United shirt, I'm not going to believe this. But it realistically has to happen this time. You know, once is a mistake, twice is stupidity. And yes, people can say stupidity, that's just what Man United's board is. But this is our second choice left back now. Reguilon was first. Telles is second. If you don't get him, we know we're getting our third choice. And I think it's always risky. You know, we'll always know that Solskjaer didn't get his first choice left back anyway. So your second choice, it's like, come see, come saw. Is it going to work? If we don't get this, if we don't get the second choice and we go third choice, I mean, look, we may as well bloody play Brandon Williams there, hadn't we? So it's looking good. It's looking on. Fabrizio's been very, up to date on the Telles rumour, especially towards this latter stage. I think Telles will be coming to wherever he's going to this week. And we all hope he's going to be a Manchester United player. And I think for €20 million, which is basically what we're going to get we're going to get around that for Chris Smalling. It works, doesn't it? It works. It does work for Manchester United, and I think we do need to get that deal done. But I would say as well, Manchester Evening News this afternoon were very, very dismissive about the Portuguese reports and saying that it's the typical Portuguese spin and that Manchester United are simply monitoring this deal. But the thing is, the great thing again, is you can say it's Portuguese press against the British press, and you probably have to go with the British press because they're closer to United. But this is where the brilliance of Romano comes in, because Romano's not the Portuguese press. Romano will be, we were in talks with Reguilon. We can pretend that we're monitoring FC, but we were in talks. Thank you for your videos. I've been suffering with depression and your other channel has helped me. Celebrating with a curry, says Adrian Alcantara. I hope you're doing well, mate. Support and love from the United Stand. And check out the Going for Goldbridge videos. I'm really enjoying them. Ed Woodward is the dictator of football, says Ross. And Sancho deal off. Someone remind him to check the Fab tweet, says Sam Gorey. We already have. Let's have a look at if there's anything else about it, but we've just read it out. Fabrizio Romano has also said about Sancho. Okay, let me have a look at this. Interesting. Romano has also said in response to Pritim Sharma, who has got a blue tick, and is likes Manchester United. He's a country editor for India and the One Championship. He said, does that mean PSG then? And Fabrizio has said, no, Man United are progressing in talks. So United favourites for Alex Telles, very important on that. Let's move on to Fabrizio Romano's next tweet then, because I do structure things in importance, and there are quite a few Sancho updates to bring you. Borussia Dortmund Sport Director Sebastian Kehl on Sancho. He's our player and he will stay. It was an important statement from the club because we have a certain responsibility. Still same position by Borussia Dortmund. I don't read anything into this. We've been hearing this for 6 weeks. We've been hearing it since the start of August. Borussia Dortmund just keep saying what we know. He is our player and he will stay. It was an important statement from the club because we have a certain responsibility. I almost feel I feel an irritation, but my irritation is at Manchester United Football Club on this. It's not. Dortmund are not offering up anything different there. They're just saying, they've been saying he's going to stay for weeks. They've been saying he's our player for weeks. They've been saying it's an important statement for weeks. You can't just take, because there's only 2 weeks left in the transfer window, you can't take that statement as now and then not take what they said 6 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. They've been saying this for a long time, and I've stayed 90% sure that he's coming. And within that time, we've had lots and lots and lots of positivity, and we've had lots and lots of blows. So, that's what she said. But, you know, I don't take, oh, look, Borussia Dortmund sporting director says that Sancho's going to stay. Oh, God, he must be going to stay. The cold, harsh facts remain from Romano, from Christian Falk, that Jadon Sancho wants to come to Manchester United. That Dortmund want a certain amount of money. Manchester United haven't offered the money. So the Dortmund don't have to put up with Sancho saying, you've got the money, let me go. Sancho can't, you know, people keep making a big deal that Sancho's not asking to go. Man United have been reported to offer about 50 million euros, I read today. Like, you know, they've got nowhere near the valuation. So Sancho's got to stay at Dortmund. Dortmund have got every right to say that Sancho is staying. And Manchester United have got to offer that money. And then, and only then, will we find out what's going on. Because I'll tell you this for free. If United offer the money that Dortmund want, and Dortmund say no, he's staying, Sancho and every other Dortmund player will go, what? What the fuck? What? Repeat. Can you just wait a minute? I'm just gonna get my lawyer in. Can you just repeat that, right? You have received the offer that we all agreed was the fee for me to go to Manchester United, and you've decided you're not going to take it. Just repeat it so everyone in the room can hear it. No. Say it again. Say it again. I want my lawyer to listen to this. And Dortmund say, yeah, well, we've got the offer that we wanted, but we're going to keep you. Right, Borussia Dortmund, you're going to not let me go when you are a selling club and you've got the money you want. Is that what you're trying to tell me? And that's what will happen if United put the money up they've known about for 3 bloody months. They've known about this fee for 3 months and they've still negotiated. So whatever happens with this Sancho deal, don't listen to Borussia Dortmund, because if they get the money they want, they will sell, because that's an agreement they've got with Jadon Sancho that if we get this fee, we will let you go. Because that's what Dortmund do. They're not Bayern Munich. They are not a club that buys players to win titles. They buy players to nurture them, to get them good, and then they sell them. The issue is United. United have to offer that money. If they don't offer it, then Dortmund will say, look, we've won. We were never going to sell him, but they will sell him if the money comes in. Telles is a very good penalty taker, says Je suis Paris. He is. He's got a wonderful left foot. He's not quite James Rodriguez, but he's got a wonderful left foot. Left-sided corners would be very good as well. Free kicks. Good player. If Upamecano is not available, if we are in desperate of left centre back, we could buy Pau Torres for this season. He might be cheaper. Says Vijay Ashri. I think he's got a release clause, Pau Torres, of about 50 million. I don't think he'd be any cheaper. United have so-called Sancho alternatives yet. We haven't put any concrete bids for other players. If they're 100% not in for Sancho, we would move into another alternative by now, says Ben McAuliffe. Exactly. And I'll tell you what, it's interesting, because I read a couple of quotes today from journalists talking about in a Norwegian outlet. And they basically were saying that Hurst Klass, who I think he writes for the Times, said he's 50%. He's only 15% chance of us signing Sancho, according to him. Feels like we've missed the boat. And Mark Ogden said that there's no pressure from Ollie, from the player to move, or from Ollie on the board to push this move through, but Sancho is their priority. But then Hurst did go on to say, but if United do not have the 110 million that Borussia Dortmund want for Sancho, why have they not moved on to other cheaper targets? Loaning either Douglas Costa, the Juventus winger, or Inter Milan's Ivan Perisic seems in the theory quite easy to arrange. And that's very true. If we are so sure... if we are so sure that we're not getting Sancho, then why are we still hanging in there? And also, what I also want to make clear is, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been promised Jadon Sancho by Ed Woodward and the club for well over a year. I think he's been promised this deal. And I think Sancho's been told about this deal. And I think Solskjaer's been in contact with Sancho. And I think the big losers here are Jadon Sancho and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because both of those people expected this deal to happen. And Manchester United are going to fail both of them if they don't do it. But they're still in the fight. They're still in there. Why have they not walked away? And it doesn't make any sense. But look, can I just say this? I don't want you to take my confidence as a definite thing that Sancho's going to happen. I'm going to have to fall on that sword if it doesn't. You can make your own mind up. But I just want to leave you with this before we move on to another topic. Why are we still hanging around this deal when we know that Dortmund won't shift on the fee? Why did we walk into negotiations? Why was a deal so close at the end of July when Dortmund have already been very, very clear about the fee? Why is Jadon Sancho so happy to come to Manchester United? Why have we agreed personal terms with Sancho and his agent? Why is Jadon Sancho Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's number one priority and remains his number one priority? And has Ole Gunnar Solskjaer been promised this signing? There's so many things. And look, if I was being really negative, I would say Manchester United are trying to find a way out of this deal. But as I said weeks ago, you tell me a way that United can walk away from this deal. And I think I said that 6-7 weeks ago. I said, how do you walk out of this deal? How do you walk away from this deal? The whole world knows we want him. He wants us. Solskjaer wants him. The fans want him. He's a player that will improve us. We've had a terrible start to the season. You know, what are the club going to do? Da-da! Here's Ismail Sarr. You know, that they can try it. It ain't going to bloody work though, is it? It would be the most lacklustre kick in the nuts ever as Manchester United fans for that to happen. For Ollie, for Sancho, for us. I've said it before. If United are listening and you're thinking about not signing Sancho, I would implore you not to buy anybody. Because anything else you offer up is going to be absolutely met with the eyes of a hungry person at a house party, and they bring you out a salad. You know, we're not going to feign happiness with a bowl of shit. Like, you've got to deliver. And if you don't deliver, well, look, the whirlwind ain't great now, is it? Big applause to Evra and Rio and Gary Neville and everybody else. And I want that to keep happening. I want it to keep happening because I tell you what, it's bad at the moment. There's a lot, and there's a very much lot, which is a terrible English sentence, but there's a hell of a lot of frustration towards Manchester United at this moment in time. It's reaching a peak, and they haven't pulled out the Sancho deal yet. So if they think that they can pull out of this deal and rescue it with ta-da, it's Ismail Sarr, they've got no chance. It's going to get a hell of a lot worse. And the great thing is, Rio Ferdinand has basically been begging them to get Sancho. Ever's spoken about it. Everybody knows. And the reason I think the ex-players are coming out and talking about it is because they know. You know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't live in a, padded concrete hub where he doesn't let things out. Carrick will know the Nevilles. Carrick will know, it'll be there. This will be it. Rio will know. Gary Neville will know. Everett will know. Loads of people know. I sort of know. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because it gets spread out through different people. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has basically been promised this priority signing, and United haven't delivered it. So people aren't going to let Woodward and the Glazers off this time, because they know that if you let Ollie down, you're letting the United manager down. You're letting the team down, and you're letting the fans down. And we can't have that. Ankush, latest member of the United Stand Members Club, thank you very much. And when it comes to transfers, we must back Ollie. But if we lose due to tactical mistakes, we must not protect him by blaming lack of transfers, says Praveen. Well, you've got to make a choice, Praveen. We're going to talk about it a little bit of a time. But you've got to make a choice. You've got to make a choice, haven't you? Are you going to go down the Ollie route, or are you going to go down the Glazer route? If you go down both, you dilute what your argument is, because you're basically putting pressure on the manager for the Glazers to sack the manager, get a new manager in, and then you go, yeah, got a new manager, but the Glazers are still here. I can't keep going over this argument, but basically you've got Ollie and you've got the Glazers. Who do you want to get rid of? Because you're not going to get rid of both. And you probably can't get rid of the Glazers. So you're going to go after Ollie again, like you went after Mourinho, like we went after Van Gaal, or are we going to learn our lesson? I don't know. Promised and not delivered. That's not a surprise, says Kamari Red. And if the board aren't backing Solskjaer, why is he standing for it? Come out and keep your credibility. If not, fans will turn on Ollie as well as the board. Brendan, I disagree with that. I know some of you might do that, but he's the manager of Manchester United in his dream job. Would you just go and say, you know, fall on your sword at the start of the season? He'd be forever known as a coward. And I know some of you think it would be a moral crusade to do it, and I think it would be very brave to do it. But I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would say, I resign. This club's run by idiots, because some people have a mindset that it's better to be on the inside trying to change it than on the outside walking away. Interest in the bank, that's why we ain't spending, says United till I die. And the only time we should buy Saar is if he replaces Dan James. Other than that, Sancho or nobody, says Oliver92. But I don't know what you all think, but for me, I would rather we bought nobody if we don't get Sancho, because I just don't see why we should make do. I don't. I really don't. Nothing can be believed by us till the window is closed and we see Sancho's name on the team sheet, says Rajib. And what I would say about Sancho or Alex Tellez or anybody else is they should be here already. They should be here already. You know, we're sort of going into this last 2 weeks of the transfer window, and they should be here already. I think worst case scenario, and John G14 says Sancho is coming. I still think he is going to come, and I just think it's going to be very late. Too late, some might say. Ollie is the best manager we had since Sir Alex Ferguson, says Naid. We're going to talk about Ollie in a little bit, but I think the worst case scenario is that we don't get Sancho, we get Alex Tellez. I think that's going to happen. We don't get a centre-back. We don't get Sancho, and we end up doing something desperate because we're not working on other deals. We're not. We've been working on this Sancho thing for bloody 2 months, really. So why have we not given up on it? Why haven't we given up on it? Why are we still hanging in there if we're not? We're still in. Look, I know we're still in it. I know we're still in the Sancho contract negotiations, whatever. Not contract negotiations, you know, transfer negotiations. We are still in it. It's not over. If it was over, certain things would have happened, and it's not over. You know, look, that previous comment's right. Let's just see what happens in 2 weeks' time and what we've got in 2 weeks' time. You're happy guy, Mark. Does this make you depressed? Says Harry Tomlinson. I think you know, the great thing about the Patrice Evra video was that he's up in the early hours of the morning, fed up. You know, he's normally that Monday morning guy, as he said, you know, I love this game. And he said, I'm very fed up with what's going on at Manchester United. I think the penny's dropping with a lot of people, isn't it? It is dropping with a lot of people. There's a lot of, you know, whether you're an ex-player or you've supported United 50 years or 5 years, whether you're 15 or 55, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're Gary Neville or Gary Jones. If you're a United fan, you're hurting at the moment because it's just getting worse, isn't it? It's getting worse. Like their behaviour is becoming more and more obvious. I think for many years the Glazers tried to be, you know, subtle in what they were doing and with their dividends and everything, but it's becoming worse now, and that's the hard thing. Kinky says, why are they dragging out the Tellez deal? It's 20 million for fuck's sake. Do they need to haggle when the deal is so straightforward? Monitoring FC, they'll haggle anything, mate. They would haggle. They'd go into the pound shop and haggle the price down if they could. I mean, in fact that is exactly what Man United would do. Something costs £1 and they'd still try and haggle it down. Is DJ joining Leeds? I feel sorry for him. He played well against Aston Villa from the left, and still Rashford continued for 90 minutes from the left, says Chantiana. Saar is a good signing next year after we buy Sancho this year as a backup. Get the deal done, Ed, says Brandon. And Sancho can have a tremendous impact, but we also need to add ambitious and assertive players to the back four because currently the ball moves too slowly, says Ari. Well, we've totally neglected the back four, haven't we? You know, what are we doing about the back four? If we do anything about the back four now, it'll be a panic buy, whether it's Upamecano or somebody else. It'll be a panic buy when it should have been part of the plan at the very start. Here is the answer why Man United waited, trying to get a PR spin out and to say we tried. How they would get out? Simple. They would say we tried. It was COVID and Dortmund never wanted to sell, says Uanata. But I don't think that will happen, mate. I don't think they're going to get away with that because we basically know from people, tier 1 journalists, Fabrizio Romano, really, you can put the puzzle together, and you know, my dog could put the puzzle together. United were close to a deal. They've agreed the deal with the agent and Jadon Sancho. This has now been established by the press, the British press. Romano said it a long time ago, but even the British press acknowledge now that we've agreed personal terms and agent fees with Jadon Sancho. We know Jadon Sancho wants to come to Manchester United. We've known it for a long time. And we know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's priority signing is Jadon Sancho. And we know that Dortmund have set a price that they will take. So Man United can't spin it. Oh, we tried. You failed. You didn't try. You failed. You can fail and try, but you just failed. It was on a bloody plate for you, and you failed. So they can't spin it. If we don't sign Sancho, the worst thing that can happen is Smalling Perisic swap deal, says Anurug. And why haven't we given up? You said why we haven't paid it. Then we know there is no discount. We are trying a way out. That is it, says Iwanata Ibarra. Are you still in the 90% club? Look, I see no reason to not come out of the 90% club. I know some people will say that's stupid, but I haven't seen anything yet that takes me away from where I've been. I must admit, I'm getting a little bit worried because we're 2 weeks away, but I haven't seen anything that makes me want to drop that percentage down. Nobody I really trust has said anything, and I haven't seen that golden thing from me, which is that from a Manchester United perspective, we haven't seen Jadon Sancho come out and say I'm staying at the club. So for me, it's not enough at the moment. We have had a tweet just come out from Fredrik Feldvet, who is a Norwegian journalist, saying Dortmund announces once again that Sancho will remain. It undoubtedly looks darker and darker, but the situation so far unchanged. United think he is still for sale for the right amount and has not given up, at least not yet. But the clock is ticking. And Fredrik on Twitter is fantastic. Norwegian journalist, Fredrik Feldvet. And that basically is where I'm at with it. You know, the clock is ticking, which makes it darker and darker in these autumnal nights. But United still feel he's for sale at the right amount and have not given up. So, you know, we keep on going. And I stay in the 90% club that it can happen. We're in negative times around Manchester United as well at the moment. And I think that's something that we need to certainly consider as well. Welcome to the Members Club, Diesel Chapo, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Thank you for joining. It's painful to say, but the only positive thing about a defeat against Palace is that it puts pressure on the Glazers to buy players, says Dave King, motivation. Well, yeah, you might be right with that. The fans need to unite to remove the Glazers. Managers' positions should only be discussed once they are gone. Nothing will change for the United in terms of transfers or infrastructure or improvement. Can we not have Telles left back and Luke Shaw as that left centre back? Would that work? Says Liam Charmer. More and more people are talking about that. It may be something that we look to do, but I don't know. I don't know about that. Jesse Spenceley says, can you shout me out? I've been here since your first video about the Duncan Edwards video. Tell you what, it's a long time ago. You must remember Kev and Alex and Rich and Martin and everyone else is going, what the fuck is he on about? Do you think Ollie will play a back five against the big teams in the Champions League as the defence can't be trusted, says DC United? Yeah. I think Alex Telles, basically, to pick up on that last point, I think Alex Telles, unfortunately, look, I'm Ollie, you know, I'm backing the manager. We're going to talk about this in a minute. But look, I'm not blind to the fact that I hate the back five. I'm not blind to the fact that, well, I'm going to talk about it in a minute, actually. When you compare Solskjaer's football to Lampard or Bielsa or Pep or Klopp, there is a world of difference there. But yeah, I think Telles will mean we play a back five a lot. Ollie loves Luke Shaw. He does. I don't see Luke Shaw being confined to the bench just because we signed Alex Telles. I think Luke Shaw will still play plenty of football. United walk away from Dybala due to some issues, but we have not received any information like this regarding Sancho. If we're still in, Ed do have an offer to give and he is just waiting, says Manmeet Singh. And at the end of this, if all this saves 5 million, then that's a success for Ed. His job is to haggle and save pennies. That's his job, his only value, and it's sad, says Salman Romani. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Can't wait for that. I'll tell you what I will say is though, please smash a like on the video, by the way, if you're watching. What I would say is though, it's 2 weeks tonight that the transfer window closes, isn't it? And I cannot absolutely I cannot. I thought I had a good message then. I cannot, for the life of me, remember what I was going to say. I hate it when I do that. I cannot remember what I was going to say. No, I know what I was going to say now. I cannot wait for the transfer window to close. I've said it. I cannot wait for October days where we are not talking about transfers. I am fed up of it. Even though the last 7 weeks of this transfer window mean very little compared to these next 2 weeks. We may as well have just had a super transfer window of 2 weeks at United, because these next 2 weeks are pivotal in what's going to happen for us. And it's going to be busy, and hopefully it's going to be exciting. But I can't wait for it to close. I've had it to the back teeth with it. I really have. We have awful recruitment on the most important position of the team, the manager. We have not got good managers since Alex Ferguson. We have a bunch of excuses with each manager, says Leo Man United. And if Man United were Carlsberg, we would be the best window shoppers in the world, says Man United Stu. United, yeah, we've done that one. What I want to do now is, I have a lot of criticism saved up for Ollie, but I'm keeping my mouth shut until he has the targets he desperately needs. And I like that from Gustav. It is intelligent. Chinme, latest member of the United Stand Members Club, thank you. And hi Mark, nice t-shirt. Do you guys only have meetups in Europe, UK? Are we in the future looking to arrange meetups in the United States for fans, says Shantano. Mate, we don't have meetups at all because we're in a lockdown at the moment. So yeah, we're not able to do that at all at the moment. But we will be doing them all around the world when we can do them. So yeah, that's definitely incoming. I want to talk about Ollie. I want to talk about Ollie a little bit because I think that, you know, a lot of people know that I'm backing the manager, and you know, I've sort of explained why, but I almost feel like we as a community need to have that chat, because I think that it's somewhat unfair, really, to just say, you know, you can't criticise Ollie because everything's got to be on the Glazers. So I've got a few things in my head I want to talk about, and I want to try and be balanced about this. Nemo the Fish says, if they don't sign Sancho or anyone, what will the fans do? Nothing, except a few tweets. Only United fans can do something. We aren't United. Well, yeah, we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. But you know, I know how I'm going to react if we don't sign Sancho, and you know, fortunately or unfortunately, a few thousand people will watch it, and they might take it on board, and they might feel the same. So I know what I'm going to say. Look, I'm not going to start a riot or anything like that. I'm just going to list off a big reason of cowardice around the club as to why they haven't bought Sancho, because COVID's not an excuse. Any decent business, as I've said before, doesn't deal in a summer. It can look at the last 3 summers. It can look at the next 3 summers. You can accumulate or soften the blow of 100 million for Sancho. You know, this 100 million for Sancho immoral story that people want to put out there is a joke. And it's not a very funny joke, because I can name 4 Premier League clubs who have spent 100 million pounds this summer, but they just haven't done it on one player, but they've done it on numerous players. So at what point, why we 100 million on Sancho when other clubs have spent 100 million on 2 or 3 players? So that's irrelevant. The fact that they want to say COVID's a reason not to buy players, no. The Glazers don't want to spend 100 million pounds because they're tight arses and they want profits. That's what it's about, because I'm telling you now, United could buy Sancho and go, right, when we don't need to buy a 100 million pound player for another 3 years. You know, we might need to spend 30-40 million next summer to get an Upamecano or something, but we don't. We've got 2 left backs, we've got 2 right backs, we've got a load of centre backs, we've got a lot of midfielders, we've got a lot of attackers. So you could look at the fact that we haven't really spent that much over the last 3 seasons. Net spend, all right, we spent 80 million and 50 million on Wan-Bissaka and Maguire, but we also sold Lukaku for 70 million. Our net spend has been poor for 3 or 4 years. So we've not spent what we should have done for 3 or 4 years. That could soften the blow of 100 million on Sancho, and also you could go back to just being a net spend of 60 million next year. So there's loads of reason why it can. We're not looking at Skriniar. We can swap him for Smalling plus some fee. Says Santosh. Where are we going to get this money from? Say. Mark, could you see anything happen with Dele Alli? Seems unwanted by Mourinho. It's the kind of deal I could see United doing if Sancho deal doesn't come, says Have a Bovril. And Frederick just tweeted out that Dortmund's stance on Sancho hasn't changed. Romano says we are going for left back and then right winger. Are we still 90% sure it's Sancho, says Akshay. United's priority is Jadon Sancho. And that still remains the same situation right now. And I don't think that's going to change. Fabrizio is saying that we're talking to Dortmund right now, as things stand. So, Ollie has done a better job than any past Man United manager since Sir Alex Glazers out, says Andre Gaming. Well, yeah, let's get into it. I really want to have this open discussion about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So please smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We are a little bit early tonight. We were live at 7 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock. The reason for that is I'm doing a watch along on That's Football for the Man City Wolves game. Mark Goldbridge, That's Football. So I'm going to be live doing a watch along on there at about 8 for the kickoff. Mahil says, Mark, you think all is forgiven if we sign Sancho? This board breaks my heart. So fed up and sad. Lindelof should never start again. Is Jesse leaving? I don't think Jesse will leave, you know. I don't think United are going to offload a lot of players in the next 2 weeks. I think we're going to, you know, we could go into this season with basically the same squad as last season and Donny van der Beek at the moment. That's where we are at with it. But I wouldn't take Dele Alli at Man United, by the way. Why would Dele Alli is a centre attacking midfielder? Why? We don't need that. So I don't need that. But I want to talk about Ollie for a moment because I've thought about this a lot, and I just want to try and establish what your problems are with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and let's digest them instead of me just saying, look, I think you know, you don't understand football. If you know, to me, I've watched that Crystal Palace game twice, and the second time was harder than the first time because you know the outcome. But you see things, you watch things that in the live game you sort of miss. The selection of Scott McTominay was basically cost us the game. I watched that game back, and he's useless as a centre defensive midfielder. I think as a box-to-box midfielder, he's fairly decent, but as a holding midfielder, teams just run at our back four all the time. And he just hasn't got the football intelligence to play that role. And Man United should not be giving that role to somebody to try it out. Oh, learn on the job, Scott. Matic is out. No, give it to Fred. And that, I think that would have made a big difference. So Ollie definitely got that wrong. But the biggest thing for me is that we've not had a pre-season. We had one pre-season game against Aston Villa, and most of our team didn't play in it. Their first pre-season game was a Premier League fixture. Crystal Palace had a pre-season and had played 2 competitive games before that. And you know what? You can go through the Palace lineup and you can go through the Manchester United lineup and you can categorically say, well, 9 United players get in the Palace team, so why didn't we win? But I've said this so many times. Fitness is so important. Match sharpness is so important. You beat these teams because you are as fit and as sharp as them. If you're not as fit and sharp as them, they are high-end professional athletes and they will dominate a game. Crystal Palace under Roy Hodgson are not a footballing giant. They are not a team that dominates top 6 sides. They dominated us. And they dominated us because their fitness levels and their match sharpness was on a totally different level. And that caused a problem. But of course, with most things in life, there are 2 sides to a story. I wasn't surprised that we lost that game afterwards. When I thought about it, I was like, we've had no pre-season. Some of our players have only had 2 or 3 training sessions. But then on the other hand, I was like, but also, some of his team selections were a bit dodgy as well. So I think you can balance them both up. And I do agree that when you look at somebody like Bielsa at Leeds, who's come up from the Championship, and I've watched them play twice now, the way they're playing football, the energy, their movement, the way they press as a team, the way they go after, they basically man mark every player. You know, they trust each other to do that. That is, you know, Bielsa ball is well known, but that is high-end coaching. You know, you watch Klopp and Liverpool, that is high-end coaching. You watch Lampard and you go, well, look, they tried to play a certain way, but defensively they're a bit of a shambles. So, you know, I think we aspire at Manchester United to have a manager that's playing Bielsa ball or Klopp ball or Pep ball. And, you know, I understand that. But beyond those 3 managers in this league, tell me another manager that's got a great, flawless style of play that really exposes how inexperienced Ollie is at this level. And there aren't. You know, you're going to tell me Arteta. Like Arteta, I've watched Arsenal play. Very effective. Definitely improving them. But a lot of the time, he's putting a lot of men behind the ball and hitting teams on the break. And that was what he did against West Ham. So, look, I think Arteta might become a really good manager. I think Lampard might become a really good manager. But I choose to say with Ollie, and I don't understand why people don't want to have this conversation, but when Bruno Fernandes came into the team in February, all the way through until we got tired after lockdown, you know, those first few games after lockdown, we played very well. Spurs, we played very, very well. Defensive error from the centre-backs. Brighton, we played very, very well. And then around the Chelsea semi-final time, we were limping towards the end because he was having to put his first team out. But from the end of Jan to about middle of July, was it? I thought we played really, really good football. I thought we were knocking the ball about. We looked exciting. We looked confident. And, you know, I could mention the first 3 months Ollie was here where we played really good football. But I do think that the team was playing without fear. It was go out and enjoy yourself. So, but I think in this year, for the most of this year, we've played really good football. And I don't think people want to acknowledge that. They just want to focus in on the bad. And actually, the only Premier League game we've lost since Bruno came in was Crystal Palace at the weekend. And I think there's a very good reason why we lost that game. And that was down to fitness levels and lack of match sharpness. So I scratch my head, and I scratch my head as well, because I think, why don't people want to take that valid excuse for match sharpness and fitness against Palace? And why are people not understanding that's the only game we've lost since Bruno came in at the start of February? You know, our points acquisition since then is still very, very good. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to get worse. I'm not going to say that. There's bigger pictures going on here. But I do think the whole Ollie out agenda that I see is coming from people who actually were Ollie out before, have had to stay quiet since Bruno's come in, and now the first opportunity they're like, PE teacher, get him out of my club, he's a fraud and all this stuff. I think it says a lot more about those people and the agenda they have, because I don't really think they've got the best interests of Manchester United at heart. Because I think if you're forcing an Ollie out agenda at this critical time in our club's existence, then you have not got Manchester United's interest at heart. Because I don't care what manager they think that we're going to get. That manager is going to suffer the same fate as Ollie, Van Gaal and Mourinho, whereby you'll have a bit of success, you won't get backed, and then you'll be left exposed, and the fans will want you out. So, yeah. Hopefully McTominay only started for Matic due to fitness. Rashford worst on the pitch for me. He would just stop at the top of the box on the left and let Crystal Palace at the defence, killing the momentum. There's an issue with Rashford. I would play him tomorrow night. We want a world-class winger, but not world-class or proven manager. It's the most important position of the team. With Poch, the board have no excuse at all. It's tactics, motivation and effort. Well, Leo, I've answered that. I can only say what I think, and I cannot understand why changing the manager is on the agenda at this moment in time. I don't think he's done anything to deserve the sack, apart from lose to Crystal Palace with a team that's had no pre-season. I don't get why any logical person would say, let's sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It makes no sense to me. And I'm not going to say that you're not going to be right in the future, but as we are here today, a football club on its knees because it's not been backed by the board and the owners, why are we talking about the manager being sacked? I just think it's not the time. I just want United to make these signings. It will help the team. Positivity, says Jordan M. I agree with you, Mark, but the level of negativity this summer has made everyone forget about the great run we had. It's gotten too toxic and it's not Ollie's fault, says Tejas. I so agree with you on Ollie. I am literally tired of our fans going aggressive against Ollie such a way. On point, brother. Hope our people understand, says Joel Lobo. Thanks for the super chat. Leo Man United, you hear yourself. When Bruno came in, we won because of Bruno. Bruno was a band-aid last season's on band-aid. Mate, we're talking about Premier League football here. Premier League football. Like, you can't just one player. And the best thing is, some of these people who are Ollie out don't even rate Bruno. They're like, he's not even that good. Pogba's better, or Martial's more important. So this is Premier League football. One player doesn't make a team. I saw Cantona come into United and be the icing on the cake. And I think with Bruno we've seen something very similar. But they don't do it on their own. They are the final piece. Every manager has flaws. Kieran Dyer said on True Geordie that modern management is more man management than anything. He spoke eloquently about it, says Dylan Taylor. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the first manager to think long-term development of players and the club culture since Sir Alex Ferguson. Sometimes fans confuse those decisions with being tactically naive. We would not have had Greenwood if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had chucked him, says MS Smiley. And I think as well, look, you're talking to somebody here who, after the Burnley game, said, I'm Ollie out. I think he's got to go. I don't think he's going to be good enough. And I was. And I meant it. So I understand being Ollie out. I do. But that was based off 5 months of continually crappy football and tactics, negative, poor team selections. And at that point, Burnley was just, to me, embarrassing. When Burnley come to Old Trafford, I mean, I should know. When Burnley come to Old Trafford, FIFA Career Mode shout out, and play you off the park and deserve to beat you, there's something very wrong at your football club. And then they bought Bruno Fernandes, and I was like, I've always wanted this player. I think he's going to make a huge difference, and I'm going to give Ollie the benefit of the doubt. And since that time, I've always had the mindset that I'm not teetering on the edge of being Ollie out again. I'm very much on board with what has been done with that Bruno signing. And I felt, and I don't know about you, I felt when we got Bruno, we bought a player in we should have brought in this summer. And I think if we'd had Bruno at the start of last season, we would have been comfortably third instead of having to get it at the end. We may even have got second, but we would have been comfortably third. And we would have seen none of this crappy negative football that we did between the start of the season and Christmas. So when we got Bruno, I felt and saw a change in the team. I saw a change in Ollie's tactics, and I saw us, playing football that I liked, and I saw progression. I saw a vision for the first time in a while. And I expected this summer that vision and progression, although we did get very tired at the end of last season and we didn't play well at the end of last season, but we were very tired and he had no bench. I was like, right, we've got something to build on here. We've got back in the Champions League. No one expected that. Bruno's come in and added something to the team. Pogba's looking better. Martial's a good striker. Greenwood's still coming through. I think we've got decent fullbacks with Shaw and Wan-Bissaka if they stay fit. Issues at centre-back. Yeah, issues at goalkeeper. But if we get a Jadon Sancho in, if we get a centre-back in and we get a midfielder in, add it to what we've got, go into the new season, I can see us improving this season. The problem is, and we speak about toxicity, the problem is the buzz we had at the end of last season for getting the Champions League and the optimism we had that we were building something has, through no fault of Ollie's, been basically had a bucket of acid tipped on it. It's eroded. We've not been delivered. One of the hardest things, and I remember it vividly with Mourinho. One of the hardest things we had with Mourinho, and we've had it with Ollie, is that Mourinho finished second and didn't get backed. Let's remember, even Sir Alex Ferguson took a few years before he tasted success, says Kinky. Let us get behind the manager and concentrate on the real problem, Woodward. Well, I'll come back to that because I think it's a good point. Last match was a pure fitness issue and it's likely to continue to next week at least. Ollie is doing an honest job and will need our support now. And I've done multi-million-pound deals including image rights with clients. Sancho is going on for months and months. How come it's taking this amount of time? What are we negotiating? What are we talking about? Says Robert O'Malley. And a goalkeeper says, Mark, even though we have all these high priority transfer rumours, we're not going to sign anyone. This board is robbing this club and the media is overhyping us because we're a big club. Glazers out. And welcome to Abi Dalal, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. People saying Ollie out based on this game must also say McTominay out as well, says Emmanuel Johnson. And yeah, I mean, look, I think that I totally understand the frustration because I'm frustrated. I totally understand the frustration. I'm very, very frustrated. But what sends us into this world of anger where we're lashing out, and I've experienced it, is that if you don't, I've watched every video, Vamis, we spoke about it on the preview this afternoon if you want to check it out, but I thought it was absolutely brilliant. The issue that we have is that as fans, we had a very mixed season last year. We did underachieve last year. We had over half the season was very, very poor. Bruno came in and we ended the season well and we got Champions League football. And what you then want from your club is what Everton have done, is what Chelsea have done, is you want the club to match your season. We had a good end to the season. We got something we didn't expect and we showed promise. You then want, in the closed season, in the transfer window, your club, with your money that you've put in over the years, to match that optimism and potential. And then you go into the next season with optimism and potential. Look, Chelsea lost to Liverpool yesterday. What's happened to their optimism and potential? It's probably been popped a little bit, but they'll go, well, we've still got some players to come back that we've bought. But it's not the start to the season that they wanted, but they went into it with a lot of optimism and confidence. And they probably still have got a lot of that left. But for us, we went into that Palace game with, so many of you said it, no optimism, no confidence, because the club have not matched the ambition of the fans, but also they have not rewarded the job that the players and the coach did to get us in the Champions League and actually deliver something that the club have been talking about for a long time, which is this vision, this 2 or 3 year vision. Well, Ollie, whether you like him or not, Ollie has delivered on that vision. He got us 3rd place when it looked impossible. And, we will support the manager. He keeps coming out, and they've not supported him. So it's left the fan base very, very angry and frustrated. Hence Evra's video. Hence what other ex-players have said. Hence what you're all saying. And we're now swimming in this world of anger and toxicity, and people are lashing out at lots of different things. And I get that. But I stay focused on the fact that I want Ollie to succeed. I think we might drop points against Brighton at the weekend, and I'll say this to you now. I think we'll drop points at... I don't think we will. I think we might, and there's a good chance we might drop points against Brighton at the weekend, because our fitness levels are still not going to be good enough. They're not. Some of these players have been training for a week. It's not enough. Brighton will have been training for a month, and this will be their 4th competitive game, I think. Yeah. So it's going to be very difficult against Brighton on Saturday as well. It's going to take, like that previous comment said, maybe up until the Newcastle game before we start getting some real levels of fitness. And these are Premier League points we're playing at. So, yeah, it is difficult, and it's hard. And I understand why people are very frustrated and lashing out. But, we were in this position with Mourinho. Mourinho finished 2nd. Long way off first, long way off. But he finished 2nd. We had a bit of optimism. We've got to close that gap on Man City. Yes, we finished 2nd, but we're masses of points off Man City. It's almost a banter 2nd in a way, but we did come 2nd. We did nothing in the transfer window that Mourinho really wanted. Liverpool had that amazing summer where they went and bought Alisson and a few others. Liverpool pushed City for the title. Mourinho was sacked by Christmas. So this has happened before. I would almost think, you've almost got to say, why are we talking about Ollie? Why are we not using this as the blueprint for what the Glazers do? Some of us liked Mourinho, some of us didn't. Some of us like Ollie, some of us don't. But the same thing, Van Gaal as well. They all end up the same way. They don't get the support, and then they get thrown over the side, and everyone goes, bye-bye, let's get a new manager in. Well, really, we should be jumping with them and saying, no, enough is enough. Mark, how would you make new signings solve our fitness problems with Ollie? Didn't even play the new signing that we did make, Van der Beek, says Abuka. And say you have a fever, you take a tablet. But if you have a chronic fever every year, you go to the doctor for deeper issues instead of ranting each fever, says Ronnie24. Romano tweeted the quote from Dortmund director saying Sancho will stay. I want to be 90%, but now I'm having doubts and time is running out, says Jethro. And we've read that one as well. Thanks everyone who's become a member tonight, by the way. Thanks for supporting the channel, like Flex47, he's a member. Really appreciate it. Obviously, all our content is free on YouTube. We don't do paywall, Patreon, or anything like that. So thanks everyone who becomes a member. You get a little badge next to your name. And of course, this helps us fund what will be the free get-togethers that we do around the world when COVID allows us to do it. The Dublin one is already booked. The tickets will be reissued and they will be free for you to enter the event. And we are going to be doing a lot more of these. So thanks everyone who is becoming a member. United fans names all sorts of problems with their club, then turn around and say Arsenal will finish 6th or 8th. You've got bigger problems than us, says Prince. I like that Arsenal fans' perspective, right? We lose to Crystal Palace. You finished 8th. You've got 6 points from Fulham and West Ham, and we've suddenly got bigger problems than you. Mate, no wonder people call your fan base flip-flops. I mean, we've barely started the season. You did finish 8th. Over a whole season you finished 8th. Over a whole season we finished 3rd. We've played 1 game and we lost it. You've played 2 games and you won it. You're not in a better position than us because you've got 6 points and we've got none. We've played 1 game, mate. Like, you know, you're not on some trajectory to Champions League football. I'm sorry, you won't be in the Champions League football next season. You will not be. Whether we will be or not, you won't be. Why hasn't United gone for Umtiti? Been on the bench, World Cup winner, was class when he was on his game. I would take the chances, Cozy. I don't agree about Umtiti, to be honest with you. I think that I don't actually think he's that good, and I think he's a bit injury prone. So I think the United are probably right to avoid that one. Hey Mark, are you still 90% on Sancho? Love United stand, says Rajat. I am, and I hope look, people say, well, why are you saying hope if you're 90%? Well, 10%. You know, if you roll the dice 10 times, 1 time, it's not going to happen. So I hope if it happens, people remember this. Because you're going to remember it if it doesn't happen. But I hope if it does happen, you remember this. Because I've been very confident all the way through. So let's just see what happens on it. Just see, bloody hell. Yeah, that's quite interesting. I'm not going to read it out. Let's have a look if anything else is going on online, just while we are live. Please smash a like if you're watching. We've spoken about the Fabrizio Romano tweet. It's a long time ago. He's putting his favourites for Tellez, and obviously he's just reiterating what the situation is with your man, what's his face? Alex Tellez. It's looking good. It is looking good, I must admit, and I'm hopeful that we will get that deal done. But it's not a centre back, and it's not Jadon Sancho, is it? But look, you know, I think Crystal Palace result to me, and I don't know what you feel at the moment. I feel depressed. I feel fed up, but I feel very realistic. That Crystal Palace game was hard to watch, but when I calmed down, I was like, I'm not surprised. We're not prepared. You can't say we're prepared. We're not. You can't sit there saying we're not prepared and we're not match fit, and then be surprised when we get played off the park. So I'm in a state of realism at the moment. The club need to get these players in. They should have been in before the start of the season, and I think we're going to struggle to beat Brighton on Saturday lunchtime. I do. I can't see any other outcome. We are not going to be ready for that Brighton game. 2 weeks training for these players and 1 match is not enough. I said this before. I know we had to have an elongated break, but it was never enough. The break was never enough anyway. You were almost better not having a break and just carrying on into the season, because they never had enough break, and it's left us playing catch up, and the season's up and running. It's a COVID world, and it's one of those things. But realistically, if you were Arsenal or Liverpool and you weren't in the Champions League or the Europa League knockout stages, you ended up with about a month off, or a long pre-season. It's a problem for us, and Brighton will be a lot fitter than us on Saturday. Why does United not set the tempo in a game, demonstrate urgency? Do you feel like our players give their best effort every game like the best teams? Says Commodore Red. You know what? To be fair to them, mate, I don't know how they're supposed to set the tempo on Saturday when they're not match fit. And I don't know how they were supposed to set the tempo in the last few games of the season when they were exhausted. So I think that there is... I know... The thing is, when you're passionate about something, you don't want to see the other side. You don't. You know, I'm passionate about Coronation Street. I don't want to put EastEnders on, you know. So I understand that people are going to be passionately Ollie's crap and they don't want to see the other side. But I'm telling you, categorically, if you actually open up your mind, there is 2 sides to this story. And the bigger, more intriguing side is that we're not prepared, we haven't backed the manager, and the players aren't fit. And it's facts. It's absolute facts. Tony Callahan, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Thank you very much. Which players will we get by the end of the season? Will Sancho and Tellez be enough? Says I think at this moment in time, Sancho and Tellez is about as much as you can hope for. And many people don't think we'll do that. Why can't Fred get a run of games? He's quicker than Matic and offers more going forward, in my opinion. Scott was awful. Tomlinson, I said it before the game. I think the thing that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got wrong, and I can't defend him on, was McTominay over Fred. That I don't understand that. I don't understand that. I was talking to Ricky today, and I said what I said to you in the watch along before the game. We played McTominay as a centre defensive midfielder against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park back in July, and they played us off the park there. Can you remember we had that? Palace should have beat us. I can't. You know what? I can't even remember what the bloody score was. They nearly scored, didn't they? Or they had a goal ruled out for offside. And Bruno made a mistake. And yeah, it was offside on the back post and it got ruled out. But we started that game with McTominay as a CDM 2 months ago. Basically the same teams playing each other. And McTominay was terrible. And he had to bring Matic on to sort the game out for McTominay. And at the weekend, he went and did it again. That worries me about Ollie. To make the same mistake twice in a short period of time. I don't understand why he did it. And also what I would say is, managers shouldn't be doing that. Fans shouldn't be sat there when the team news comes out and goes, hold on a minute, we played McTominay as a CDM against Crystal Palace 2 months ago and it nearly cost us the game. Why are we doing it again 2 months later? You know, has Carrick or McKenna or Ollie not clocked that and gone, maybe we should go with Fred, who played really well in that position in the Europa League final, you know, a month ago? While Ollie is coaching the team, Sir Alex Ferguson is coaching Ollie, says Dear Vet. And do you think it is bad sometimes for fans to be managers? Ollie is attached to players like Jones, Lingard and Pereira. Vinit says, I've watched almost every game since 10 years, some even at 3 a.m. For the first time, I didn't watch United and don't intend to. With everything happening around the club, I literally want to give up sometimes, says Vinit. Well, we never give up. We never give up. And Kapil says, Ollie's too attached to players like Jones, Lingard and Pereira. I can dismiss that for you straight away. Lingard and Pereira don't get on the bench hardly ever, and Phil Jones can't get near the bench. So I don't think Ollie's too attached to those players. I think the truth is those players are on high wages and we can't get rid of them. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't want Phil Jones at the club. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I don't think, authorised the 5-year contract because it happened when he wasn't even the full-time manager. That contract will have been worked on for a while. So that's Ed Woodward. Lingard hasn't been given a new contract, and Pereira's new contract was a little bit odd. Maybe Ollie had something to do with that. But he doesn't pick them. He doesn't want them. So I don't think he's loyal to them. TJ Guna says, Man United are going to finish 10th this season. Mark my words. Not in a million years. When we get our fitness levels up, we will start to accumulate points. But we are probably going to have to put up with a bad start because we have come into this season ill-prepared. We're not fit, we're not match fit, and we didn't bring signings in. So it's a recipe for dropping points at the start of the season. The thing is, against Brighton at the weekend, we almost need to scrap a win somehow. Because I think we're going to drop more points against Brighton because of the lack of signings and because of the lack of fitness. But, you know, that's almost... We needed to do the same against Palace, somehow scrape a 1-0. We need to do it against Brighton. Until these fitness levels come up and until we get these signings in that we hope we're going to get, it's heading that way. Thoughts on Spurs? Could they be underdogs, says Luke WB. I think Spurs have got a couple of players in that are going to massively improve. I mean, Spurs have bought 4 players. Hoberg, Doherty, Reguilon and Bale on loan. They have got 4 players in. You know, Mourinho can't moan about those players. Everton, how many they got in? Arsenal, how many they got in? Chelsea, how many they got in? Liverpool, how many they got in now? City, how many they got in? And they're going to get more in. We've got 1 in. Just got out of work. What's the update? Also, how's your day going, Mark? Hope the family's well, says Omar Marquet. Thank you very much. So Alex Tellez is in talks with Manchester United, and Manchester United are in talks with Porto, according to Fabrizio Romano, and Manchester United are the favourites. Sancho, Dortmund are saying he's staying, but I don't think anything changes there. You know, I still think United are working on it, and let's see what happens. And we've spent a long time talking about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and ultimately, I think it's going to get worse before it gets better, and I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out should be on the lips of anybody, because I think there's massively mitigating circumstances that are going to mean that we might drop points at the weekend. We are not match fit, we are not prepared, and we haven't brought signings in. That is a recipe for dropping points against teams that are prepared, that have played a few more games than us and have been had a pre-season. So, you know, I think we're going to struggle, and I think it's going to be a hard couple of weeks. But I think it's important that we try and stay behind the players and the manager, because the real issue, as we always know, is the board. Smash a like on the video, please. And I love James Rodriguez. He is amazing. Please subscribe if you're new, bottom right-hand corner. I'm going to watch a football match now. I'm going to watch Wolves against Manchester City. Let's see if Man City struggle, having not played any games, against the team that's playing its third competitive game. Will Wolves dominate City through fitness levels? It's going to be very interesting to see. We almost need that to happen to help United's excuses, really. But they have had 2 more days than us. Anyway, Mark Goldbridge, That's Football. The link is, the live chat is open. I'm going to be live there in about 5 minutes' time. See you over there. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Smash a like on video. Subscribe if you're new. And if you want to watch a bit of football, Mark Goldbridge, That's Football for Wolves against City. Speak to you all in a bit. Fantastic show. Really appreciate all of your comments, whatever they are, on Ollie or not. I know it's a very toxic and frustrating time, and when people are frustrated and angry, they do lash out, and I accept that. But let's see. I don't think it's going to get any better for a while, but let's hope. Speak to you soon.